Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. Well, it's another glorious day for Bitcoin as it formed another all-time high at $42,000. It's a little bit under, but we know it's going much higher. So when I originally said 40,000 by the end of this week, well, that was wrong because we still have 2 days left of this week for Bitcoin to go even more. Bitcoin is just a freight train that cannot be stopped right now. It's just doing this on up and up and up, and it doesn't seem to ever stop. So, of course, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Why is it still going up? Why doesn't it ever top out? Why doesn't it ever come down? Well, let's discuss. Also today, because it's Friday, I know a lot of you guys don't really want to work if you're working at all. So I did find a few new videos from Chamath, and I'm going to try to pronounce his last name today by just pronouncing it out. I swear I'm going to try. So there's two clips I want to show with Chamath. And if you listen to the guy, I mean, he is just a very, very calm, smooth talker. Made all the right investment plays within the last decade or so. He's a relatively young guy. He's not much older than me, and he's a freaking billionaire. So he talks about Bitcoin, why he loves it so much, where he thinks it's going to go. And someone else asked him about the next Bitcoin play. Is there something better around the horizon that Chamath is looking at? Well, we will find out together. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in as always. Smash up the like, smash it up, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you don't miss out on any of my live streams, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, pretty much every weekday. But I'm finding I'm doing them on weekends too, and a lot at night, so you don't want to miss any of it. I did post a video yesterday too about Anthony Pomp and his recent call for Bitcoin to be above $1 million. So if you haven't watched that yet, make sure you do so after the end of this stream. All right, so let's do this. Let me change my screen here so I don't forget. So Bitcoin's at 41,300, and this morning it briefly touched 42,000, and then it came back down a little bit. But just look at this trend, right? It's just nonstop, and I'm on a 5-minute chart, so it's just a nonstop. Yesterday, after my stream, after we broke 41,000 for the first time, or 40,000 for the first time. See, I can't even keep track anymore because Bitcoin just keeps going up and up. Yesterday, we broke 40,000, right? And then it had a little breather, but I mean, honestly, it's so tame that it doesn't even register if you zoom out a little bit. But we did have a little breather, right? It went down as much as 36, kind of like went down really quick and then just started coming back up. And this morning, Bitcoin just decided to form another high. So 41,000, I woke up this morning, it was 41,000. That was already high. And then it was at 42,000 not too long ago. So right now, Bitcoin, like I said, is just a freight train, and there is nothing stopping it. There's nothing stopping it. All right, so looking at the new market cap for Bitcoin, it is now at 773 billion, and it would have surpassed Tesla, except Tesla is also pumping. So Tesla and Bitcoin right now are the two freight trains that can't be stopped. And in fact, Tesla has pumped more than Bitcoin today. However, both Tesla and Bitcoin have surpassed Facebook. I was just talking about it yesterday. It was still like 50 billion off, but today, look at it. Bitcoin is now bigger than Facebook. Think about that. That's huge, huge. So it didn't, it wasn't too long ago that it passed Visa, or let's just say it wasn't too long ago it passed JP Morgan, right? Then it passed Visa. Then it passed Berkshire Hathaway. And now it has passed Facebook. And pretty soon, it's going to pass Google. I don't know when it's going to pass Tesla. It will happen, but because Tesla is still going to the moon right now too, so maybe not for a while. But Bitcoin's next stop will probably be at Google. And pretty soon, Bitcoin will be bigger than Google. And once it's bigger than Google, is right behind silver, right? But that's only the beginning. Bitcoin is no silver. It's not a chump. It's not second place. Bitcoin is number one. So Bitcoin is going to take on gold. It's going to get to 12 trillion market cap. It will equal gold at the very least, and most likely go higher. That's the beauty of the Pomp video that I did yesterday, because Pomp makes a very good point about things digital or digitized now is worth way more than the analog equivalent. And if you apply that kind of math and science, then Bitcoin is worth way more than gold, since it is digital gold and it's better than gold in every single way. So, can Bitcoin get to 22 trillion or 24 trillion, be double of gold, or 5 times gold, or 10 times gold? Well, according to Pomp, he thinks so. And if you think about it logically, why not? Why can't it be more than gold, right? And then you guys do the math. You do the math. If Bitcoin gets to a 12 trillion market cap and you divide by the circulating supply out there, about 18.5 million, what does that, make Bitcoin? Let's just calculate real quick. Let's just do 12 trillion. My calculator can even go up that high. 12 trillion divided by, let's round it out, 19 million. That puts Bitcoin around $631,000. That's just rough balling it, right? So people who think that Bitcoin can't possibly go to 300, 400, 500,000, they're mistaken. Bitcoin has to go above $600,000 just to equal the market cap of gold. So think about how much room there is left still. Even at $42,000, how much room is left for Bitcoin? That's more than 10x. More than 10x. And that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. All right, before I show you guys the videos, there are a few things that I find very, very interesting and very curious. Yo, the craziest thing to see is the Relentless, thank you for that. The Netflix branding right behind him. Where? I don't know which one you're talking about, but anyways. But I appreciate the super chat. But I find this fascinating. Now, because of what has happened recently with the election, with the presidency and all that stuff, right? Now, Mark Cuban is talking about running for president. Now, he talked about this before, but he makes a very curious statement. Mark Cuban says he plans on running for president if Bitcoin hits $1 million. And he plans on giving free Satoshis for every citizen. So I led with this article because remember, Mark Cuban is not a fan of Bitcoin. And I've always found this to be very odd. Someone that made his billions with tech, someone that supposedly gets tech, is against Bitcoin. He said he would choose bananas over Bitcoin because at least you could eat the bananas and you can't eat Bitcoin. So I find it very odd that he would make this kind of statement. It doesn't seem like he's joking about it because he actually thought about what he wants to do. So basically, he says if Bitcoin gets to $1 million, which could be by 2024, by the next halving event, right? He will run for president. And then he's asking people to donate 350 Bitcoin to the treasury, right, for every year. And what he plans on doing is giving everyone, not one, 100 Satoshis per year. And if you do the math, I was trying to calculate the math. 1 Bitcoin is equivalent to 100 million Satoshis. And by then, if a Bitcoin gets to $1 million, that means he's essentially giving citizens $1 per year. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It sounds good in theory, but he's giving people like $1. So I don't get how that is going to help anyone. And they must hold that for at least 10 years. So he's thinking that if he gives everyone 100 Satoshis for 4 years and they hold it for another 10 years, the 1 million may become 10 million or 100 million or something. I don't get what he's trying to do. But it's very, very weird for someone all of a sudden says that they're going to run for president only if only if Bitcoin hits 1 million, and he's asking for people to donate 350 Bitcoins to Treasury. He could easily do it himself. Why is he asking people to donate? He could simply buy some Bitcoin now and then save up for that day, right? So I don't get it. Is this him turning bullish? Is him trolling? Maybe he had one too many and decided to tweet this out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it, but it is interesting to hear. All right. South Korean gaming giant plans on buying exchange BitHum for $460 million. Nexon. I did not know this, but they're a huge South Korean gaming company, but they already own several exchanges. I did not know that. Corebit's Korea's third largest exchange. They bought for $80 million. Also, European exchange Bitstamp, which a lot of you guys have heard of and probably used, they bought them for $400 million 3 years ago. So now they're buying BitHum for $460 million. So as you can see, even big corporations out there that has nothing to do with crypto, they're a gaming company. They're getting involved with Bitcoin and crypto, right? They don't want to miss out on the next wave. Who knows what their master plan is? You know, maybe they plan on integrating crypto or NFT or just tokens in general inside their future games. And guess what? Where you go buy and sell those tokens on the exchanges that this company owns, right? So I don't know what their master plan is, but it's looking like it is all coming together. So pretty positive. Like stories that we have heard of before, like people, accidentally throwing away their private keys or something happened, they threw away a hard drive, their hard drive crashed, they forgot their password, or they just somehow lost their private keys, right? And it's a sad story to hear. But this is just being ignorant, I guess, or naive. So I found this article where Wired back in 2013 when Bitcoin first hit like 1,300, right? So they decided to buy a miner and just kind of show like, hey, you know what? Let's all get rich from this. Let's mine some Bitcoin. So look at their headline. Watch Wired get rich quick with our with our sleek Bitcoin miner. This was back in 2013. Actually, this was in May. So this is before Bitcoin actually shot up at the end of May, end of 2013 to be like, I don't know, like $1,200 at that point, right? So it's kind of interesting. They hooked everything up. It was a miner from Butterfly Labs, which I'm not even sure exists anymore, right? And they just kept mining and mining and mining and mining. And they ended up with about 13 Bitcoins, which in today's, if you calculate it, it's over like $500,000. We're not talking about like hundreds of millions of dollars, but it's a good amount of change. But because they were so blissfully ignorant or naive or just stupid, at the end of this article, they're saying, you know what? We have all this, but look at this. Even Wayback Machine will still pull up ads. But at the end of it, they were saying Bitcoin is just abstract. Basically, Bitcoin is not worth anything. So they purposely destroyed a private key so that it will be lost forever. They purposely destroyed the private key so it will be lost forever that they can never access, right? So that's what I'm saying. This is just idiotic. Like, why would you do that? Just say that you're going to store it in a vault or something, right? That maybe one day you could get access to, because pretty soon the 13 Bitcoins will be worth $13 million, and they're going to really, really regret it then. So I don't know. Again, I don't know why they would purposely destroy the private keys, purposely lose 13 Bitcoins, even at that time, was worth, probably a few $1,000s at the very least. So why would you do that? Why? Okay, that's enough. I just want to bring that up. It just doesn't make any sense at all. All right. So Popliano, tweeted this out. I don't know who this guy is speaking to. I don't know who this guy is that's speaking to Joe Rogan. But this guy is telling Joe Rogan to bring Pomp on, right? And if this happens, you guys know Pomp, he's one of the biggest cheerleaders for Bitcoin. with Joe Rogan's, listeners, it's gonna really drive people to buy some Bitcoin. It's gonna drive FOMO up quite a bit. So listen to this.
And anyways, I just think right now with Bitcoin having repeated over and over and over new all-time highs, you got to have Anthony Pompliano on the show. Pomp. Do you know who Pomp is?
No.
Pomp is the guy who is every morning writing to institutions.
Hold, please, Jamie.
Look up Pomp. Actually, he's got quite a
Jamie just went like this.
Do you know Pomp? Are you into Bitcoin? Yeah, he knows Pomp. Yeah, Pomp's the guy.
It would be not buying it, Jamie. Jamie's not buying it.
Bitcoin?
No.
Bitcoin, yeah. But... Pomp? Got to have Pomp.
He's not buying.
Got to have Pomp. Pomp is the guy.
Is he your friend?
No, Pomp is a guy that I listen to, and it's just over time everything just makes sense. And he's also the guy who, he's a founder of a fund. He's actually at forefront of a lot of the different technological things. I mean, I'm invested, if you will, mind you, in the ability that I can. And anyways, I just think right now with Bitcoin having repeated over and over and over new all-time highs, you got to have Anthony Pompliano on the.
That already repeated. I didn't like the fact that Joe Rogan kept interrupting him when he was trying to explain who Pomp is. But anyways, so Pomp is asking if she could go on. Obviously, he's going to say yes, right? I'm pretty sure he's going to go on. It's a matter of if Joe Rogan really invites him on, which I think he will. I mean, Joe Rogan has stated that he likes Bitcoin. He likes crypto. He doesn't get it like a lot of people, but he's fascinated with it. So this may be coming. So when Pomp, if he gets on the show, starts talking Bitcoin, there's a lot of people listening, so it could drive some FOMO into the space, and that is always a good thing. All right, so there's last thing I want to talk about or show you guys and react to 2 videos from Chamath, and I promised I was going to try to pronounce his last name, Polyhapitia. I hope that's Chamath's last name, Polyhapitia, something like that. Yeah, I butchered that. I'm not good with names at all. But anyways, the first is the first interview on CNBC. They ask him, hey, what do you think about Bitcoin, right? It's skyrocketing. And it's kind of interesting to hear what he said. And then there's a second one where someone else I'm not familiar with asked him about the next Bitcoin. And his answer is quite interesting.
All right, Chamath, we don't have that much time left. Let's talk rocket ships. First, Bitcoin. That falls into that category because that's what that is. 39,000. Where's it going?
I mean, can you play the clip in 2012 and 13 when it was at 200 and everybody was laughing at me on CNBC every time I would talk about Bitcoin? Where is it going? It's probably going to 100, then 150, then 200,000. In what period? I don't know. 5 years, 10 years, but it's going there. And the reason is because every time you see all of this stuff happening, it just reminds you that, wow, our leaders are not as trustworthy and reliable as they used to be. And so just in case, we really do need to have some kind of, insurance we can keep under our pillow that gives us some access to an uncorrelated hedge. And it's going to eventually transition to something much more important. But for right now, you're just getting all these data points that prove this thing. It's just the fabric of society is frayed. And until we figure out how to make it better, it's time to just have a little schmuck insurance on the side. And everybody's running in. It's just an incredible thing. I could never have imagined it.
Good to be a schmuck, I guess, if you...
So that was all good until he called everyone a schmuck for buying Bitcoin. I don't get that. But I got to find the clips of him on CNBC telling people to buy it when it was 200 because I don't recall seeing any of those clips. And in fact, I wasn't... It depends on what time period, because if it was before 2013, I wasn't even involved, so I don't know. But yeah, Chamath, I recently covered him, and people are saying, well, he sold his million Bitcoin, but once upon a time, he bought 1 million Bitcoin. And I like to see proof that he actually sold it. Because I have a feeling someone like Chamath didn't sell it. Maybe he sold portions of it. But had he kept it, that 1 million Bitcoin would be worth $42 billion. $42 billion. And it may one day make him the richest man in the world. But, you know, if he sold some of it, maybe, I don't know, but I haven't seen any proof of it yet. But anyways, according to Chamath, I mean, it's schmuck insurance. Basically, you want to hedge against afraid society, right? What the governments are doing. And you want to hold on a non-correlated asset. Basically, yeah, that's what Pomp is saying, what Michael Saylor is saying, what basically everyone is saying. One interesting point is he says that Bitcoin will transition into something more important down the road. I would love to hear his thoughts on what that is. I don't know if he just said that to sound smart or he actually knows what is going to evolve into. So I would really love to hear him explain that, because sometimes these kind of insights is what makes people billionaires, makes you committed and have that conviction to just keep going and going and going and go all in, right? So I'd love to hear someday. But anyways, this is the more fascinating clip. It's about 5 minutes long. I have no idea who, I don't know if she's Laura Shin. She may be one of the bigger podcasters, but I found this video on YouTube. But anyways, she basically flat out asked him, hey, you know, what do you think about the next Bitcoin? Or what do you think about any of these other altcoins that doesn't really compete with Bitcoin? And just listen to his answers. Now, as someone that's a Bitcoiner or as someone that's really involved with crypto, you may think that his answers are just kind of vague and convoluted and doesn't really apply. But listen through the whole thing. It kind of does. And it kind of gives you his thinking in terms of how he invests, why he chose Bitcoin in the first place, and why he chose other companies like Tesla, because he's a huge Tesla investor too. So, kind of interesting. Let's get started with this one.
Curious. So do you see merit in any of the other crypto assets, in particular Ethereum?
No.
And why not?
You know, it's kind of like when you have a bellwether instrument, the gains typically go to the winner. So I'll use an equity example to make the case. When Obamacare passed, there was going to be a clear tailwind to health insurance. And, you know, you could have bought a basket of health insurers, or you could have just bought United Healthcare. And the basket would have performed okay. United Healthcare 10x'd in the last 10 years. If you believed in smartphones, you could have bought a basket of things in 2010 or 2008 or 9 when the iPhone first got released. You could have bought, you know, Nokia and Motorola and Samsung and HTC, or you could have just bought Apple. And Apple, frankly, just crushed everybody else. The point is that in any market, when there's a clear winner, it's not that these other things can't win, but there's a weird psychological effect that almost drives these second and third tier winners, which is a desire by people almost out of this sense of insecurity to not want to admit that there's a winner simply because they weren't the one to pick it first. And so what they do is they create these convoluted narratives and theses to basically anoint other winners. And yeah, can they?
That right there, that last statement was deep. So basically he's saying anyone who didn't get involved early, they're jealous. So now they have to move into something else and feel like they're part of something that is not the original, right? Basically, I think that's what he's trying to say. And if you think about it, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, it could be. It paints a very bad light on all altcoin holders. Basically, altcoin holders that didn't get into Bitcoin early, that aren't Bitcoin billionaires, now they're trying to be new billionaires by looking into altcoins and things that have faster growth, right? I don't know. That could be right, but maybe, you know, maybe it's just because people think Bitcoin is too high right now. But I've been saying Bitcoin has a lot more room to grow, but people are always looking for something that could move even faster than Bitcoin. But what he said right there, that could be the root of why people buy altcoins.
Win, sure. But do they ever win like the category killer? No. I I mean, do you really want to be long Lycos and DuckDuckGo, or did you just want to be long Google? Just there has been not a single market where you've been rewarded as handsomely for being long the number 2, 3, and 4 player as you are for being long the number 1 player. And again, it goes back to when things tip and go mass market, the average buyer makes the simple decision. And the simple decision is to go to the category defining winner and then set it and forget it. And so if you really want to make the money, my view has always been you find the one that's about to win: Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, and you buy it. But what you don't do is try to do some convoluted spread trade or, long the number 2, 3, 4, 5 person, hope that it's just really, honestly, just you can make a little bit of money, but there's so much brain damage and pressure and complication.
Brain damage.
It's just never.
So, I mean, again, what he said is true. If you have a clear market winner, like Apple or even Facebook or Tesla, right? There's a lot of number 2s and 3s. And you could go longs on number 2s and 3s all day long, but they never reward more than being long on number 1, right? So that's an interesting concept, but the host, I think Laura, she counteracts that. So she's like, well, I get it, but Bitcoin and say Ethereum, they don't really compete with each other. They're different. One's a currency store value, one is more a technology, right? So she kind of disputes this.
So you essentially view all the crypto assets as kind of like one category. Like you don't break them out into separate categories, because a lot of people would say like Bitcoin is a currency and Ethereum is, this platform just for decentralized applications, and they don't view them necessarily as competitive. I mean, there are of course people who do view them as competitive, but a lot of people just see them as fundamentally different things. But
I'll give you a different example. You could look at Mercado Libre as an incredibly complicated, and valuable delivery platform for Central and South America. And you could look at Wayfair as an unbelievable example of, furniture bought, purchased, and designed over the internet. I look at it and I'm like Spanish Amazon and furniture Amazon. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just buy Amazon.
At first when I was listening to this answer, I'm like, where is he going with it? And then once he wrapped up that answer, that's like brilliant. He took two seemingly different companies that seemed like they had nothing to do with each other, and he tied it in. Basically, they're competitors to Amazon, maybe not number 2, number 3, maybe number 2, number 5, number 10, whatever, but they're not going to be better or outperform Amazon. I mean, that's ultimately what it boils down to. And again, if you think it like that, I mean, it's genius. I mean, it's not genius. I think a lot of us know that, but it's true, right? This is the reason why you bet on Ethereum number 2 and you bet on XRP number 3, and you go along with Ethereum and XRP. They never seem to outperform longing Bitcoin. And no altcoin has outperformed Bitcoin ever. Short time frames, but over the last 5 years, 10 years, nothing, right? So, he has a good point.
I honestly, Laura, this goes back to a philosophy of mine, which is what I've learned over time is that, I've really made my life much harder than it's needed to be. And I've overcomplicated a lot of decision making in my life. And as I've gotten older, what I realize is that the best decisions are the ones that are really instinctive and the most simple. And you can use enormous amounts of data, and you can find all kinds of clever ways of slicing and dissecting things. But at the end of the day, the simple decision tends to be the best and the most defensible and the most enduring decision. And one of the simplest decisions that you can make is to buy the category winner and wish that the whole category does well. Because if it does, as long as the category winner stays on top of the category, they will get the disproportionate amount of the gains. And that's just been completely true in markets, since time immemorial.
That last point is also very powerful, all right? basically you don't want to wish bad on the category at all. So recently, the overall crypto market cap hit $1.1 trillion, right? 1 trillion recently. Now it's 1.1 trillion. So the entire market is doing well. The entire basket is doing well, right? But as long as the number one stays at number one, it gets most of the gains. And that is true. Bitcoin has been getting most of the gains, right? BTC's dominance is very high. BTC dominance makes up over 70% of the entire market cap. So what he said, again, is true. It's like, you know what? You don't want to wish bad on the entire, market. If you don't want to be a Bitcoin maximalist to say, okay, Bitcoin should do well and all the altcoins should die, because no, you want everything to go up, because everything goes up, it's just go help the market leader, and that's Bitcoin. And that's entirely true too. So that's pretty much it for this interview. So I think he makes some good points. Like I said at the beginning, it may seem like a little vague, convoluted, but I think he makes some very brilliant points that you can take home with. All right, so that's the end of those videos. Let's do some Q&A. Sorry. Let's restart the stream. No. Just kidding. J Money, you're correct in terms of Chamath said if Bitcoin hits 150K, he'll buy the Hamptons. Like, that kind of statement makes me feel like he did keep his Bitcoins, that he didn't put it somewhere or sell it or whatever. And I will say that recently I've been telling you guys, you could be a little bit more diversified, go into altcoins, 75-25 portfolio, right? 75 Bitcoin, 25. But yeah, so I kind of started going to that route too, right? Not so much. I have more like a 90-10. I used to have like a 99 to 1. But I recently moved to 90-10 in terms of 90% Bitcoin allocation and 10% altcoins. And I did that recently, and I instantly regret doing that already. So chasing altcoins just never works well. It never works well. So I'll be the first to admit that. So I regret that already, but we'll see. We'll see if Bitcoin will take a breather again, maybe at 45, 50 or something, and see some of that money flow back into altcoins. But what Chamath says, I mean, it's 100% too. You bet on the leader, which is Bitcoin right now. Nothing's going to outperform the leader. You hope that the whole basket does well, because if it does, it's going to benefit the leader the most, which is Bitcoin. And ultimately, everything is a crypto, and you bet on the leader of crypto, which is Bitcoin. So, yeah. I did look at Elrond. I looked at them very early on. My kids are going crazy. I looked at them early on. Their new protocol, they sound promising. The only thing I really liked about them is the founders invested in Binance early. So they have a close connection with Binance. And because of that, I don't think it'll go away anytime soon, because Binance will carry them essentially. But outside of that, I mean, they're fine, but there's nothing really else that stands out about Elrond. James, do I still like idle for? No, I got off the idle bandwagon long ago because they simply stopped performing. They stopped. They started concentrating on their own stable coins and stuff. They were just diversifying into other things when they didn't even finish their Bitcoin wallet before, and they didn't do a lot of things they were promising. So I got off that bandwagon fast. When do you think Bitcoin be mainstream? Recently, when I've been waking up, and I wake up very early now, so I don't get a lot of sleep because I can't stop thinking about Bitcoin. But I've been turning on CNBC a lot, and like every 10 minutes, they bring up the Bitcoin ticker, and then also they have someone talking about Bitcoin, right? I do think Bitcoin is becoming mainstream already. Maybe not as many people as 2017, but it's getting there. I think most people have heard of Bitcoin, at least heard of it, may not know what it is or what it does, why it's going up, but I think a lot of people have heard of it at this point. So it is becoming mainstream already. Mara, I don't know what Mara is, but thank you for the super chat. Let's take a look. Except it doesn't find Mara. What is Mara? Is that a crypto or a stock? I don't even see the ticker coming. I don't even see it on CMC. Oh, Mara, the mining stock? Marathon Patent Group? Yeah, they're the one that is I haven't paid attention to them. I've been more paying attention to Riot blockchain, which is a mining company. I haven't really paid attention to Marathon. But here's a general observation and my general thoughts on stuff. Any company that is publicly traded right now that is involved with Bitcoin is skyrocketing. Okay, any company that has any exposure is skyrocketing. And right now, basically any company that is involved with Bitcoin mining, their stock is going through the roof, right? So I've been looking at Riot a lot, and it's just day after day, 20, 30% gains, like day after day after day. Same thing with MicroStrategy, right? Obviously, their entire reserves and more is in Bitcoin, right? And also things like Square, and I think PayPal too. They're going to have big revenue numbers come out in terms of Bitcoin trading, right? So right now, any publicly traded company that has anything to do with Bitcoin, they're going up, and people are noticing. They're paying attention. These are like other plays on Bitcoin, basically, without actually buying Bitcoin. So hopefully that answers your question. Like, I myself was thinking about, I haven't bought any mining stocks, but I'm thinking I should because they're all skyrocketing. But I did pick up some MicroStrategy not too long ago, and I'm already like up 80% on that. Thoughts on Cardano and VeChain? Well, they're both good. What else? What else do you want me to say? They've been around for a while. Cardano obviously has a large following. People love Charles and Cardano. When Cardano is coming to an end soon, hopefully. They finally made some progress on proof of stake and stuff like that, but they're still working on Guggen for token creation and other things. So they're coming to a conclusion. So that could be a good thing for them. But there's a lot of competition. VeChain is still the dominant protocol in China. That hasn't changed. So both are very good projects. Chef, with that question, is it too late to be buying more? With that kind of question, you're basically saying, has the market topped? And if you really think so, then you wouldn't be in the game, right? the market is nowhere close to topping. You gotta define a timeline. Is it still good to buy if you plan on holding for 5 years, 10 years? Yeah, sure. If it's a good buy for the next week, that might be a different story. Silver crashed today, 8%. Wow. Well, you know, silver and gold, right? Their time is up. And what I mean by that is not like they're just going to disappear, but, you know, the people that used to buy gold and silver for gains and as a store of value, you know what? They're all looking at this. Number one, Bitcoin. They're all looking at it, which is why Bitcoin keeps going up and up and up, right? So I have no doubt going into the latter half of this year, gold and silver either just goes sideways or actually goes down, while all that money is flowing in Bitcoin and making it go up parabolically. That has already happened, and it's going to happen more, right? And Bitcoin is not too far off from silver. It's not too far off. Wow. Down. Let's refresh this. Yeah, silver is down almost 8%. And even gold is almost down 4%. Those are pretty significant drop-offs. Look at that, because they hardly move at all anyways. And you can see that they're on the downtrend, right? Bitcoin's on the uptrend, and so is Tesla's going on the uptrend. So again, like what Chamath is saying, you bet on the winner. You bet on the winner, ignore the second and thirds, right? And silver is a second. That's why you should ignore silver. Nexo, I don't really have any thoughts on Nexo. Sorry, can't. Storage is the storage play. So there's a lot of storage plays out there. So I don't know who's going to come on top. The biggest one is Filecoin, which raised an enormous amount of money. So if I was going to get into a storage play, I would go with Filecoin. Thoughts on Ethereum? You know, there's a lot of recent predictions about Ethereum, like how it's going to go to $10,000 or $27,000. Now, $10,000 is more believable. 27 is just too unbelievable. The market cap would be like tens of trillions. And Bitcoin's going to get there much, much faster. And if anything, you know, if it does reach tens of trillions one day, that means it would be bigger than Apple and Microsoft and Google and all these tech giants. Is it impossible? No. Is it likely? Yes. But with that said, can Ethereum go up 10x or 8x from here to 10,000? Yeah. But by then, I think Bitcoin will be over $1 million. So it is possible, but it's going to take a while. Now, end of the year, we got to see where Bitcoin ends. Maybe Bitcoin ends the year at $1 million, and then it will be possible, right? But if Bitcoin, you know, gets to maybe 200,000, 300,000, more of a conservative figure, right? Then Ethereum will probably be, I don't know, 4,000. I'm just gonna take a swing and say $4,000. I would not get into any privacy coins such as Monero, Dash, Zcash. They're being delisted left and right. The more they're delisted, the less chance people have to buy them. So they don't look good to me. All right, guys, that is it. I'll let you guys go. Overall, Bitcoin formed a brand new high, 42,000. Now it's at 41,000. But you could see the trend is up. Up and up and up and up. The precious metals are being sold off, and that's because people are selling off to buy Bitcoin. That's one thing that's happening. Another thing is people are converting their cash to Bitcoin because cash is getting worthless and more worthless by the minute. So that's also happening, right? A lot of things happening to drive this gravy train forward, and it's gonna keep going. And you know what? Today is Friday, we have seen some explosive movements the last few weekends. Explosive. We're talking about like 4,000 point jumps. So can Bitcoin jump to possibly 45 or 46,000 by the end of this weekend? Maybe. That would only be a 10% gain. So we'll see what happens with Bitcoin this weekend. All right, guys. And most likely I'll have more streams too. So make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow me on Twitter and Facebook so you don't miss out on any of my future videos or notifications. And if you guys want to support me and get some exclusive content, check out my Patreon page. And if you want a crash course on Bitcoin, you really don't know anything about Bitcoin, you want to learn more, then check out my Teachable page. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care and have a good one. Bye-bye.